All right, let's just jump right in. In any company, you see this puzzle play out all the time, right? You have two people, same job title, same paycheck, same boss, but their performance is on completely different planets. One's a superstar, and the other is just there. So why? This isn't just some business school thought experiment. It's one of the biggest challenges any leader will ever face. Today, we're going to use the science of human motivation to finally crack this code.
So to make this really hit home, let's meet two engineers. We'll call them Sarah and Ahmed. On paper, their situations are identical. Same company, same salary. But in reality, they are worlds apart. Sarah is an absolute force of nature. She gets in early, she's the first to volunteer for the tough projects, she's always helping her teammates, and bam, she gets promoted in a year and a half. And then there's Ahmed. He's treading water. He shows up on time, does exactly what's asked of him, and no more, and has been in the same exact role for 3 years.
So what gives? If all the external stuff, the job, the money, is the same, then the difference has to be internal, right? It's all about that psychological engine that drives what they do every day. What fuel is powering Sarah that just isn't getting to Ahmed? That is the real puzzle we're here to solve.
Now, to crack this code, we're not just going to guess. We need a proper diagnostic toolkit. We're going to explore some of the most powerful theories of motivation out there. Think of them in two main buckets. Contents theories, which ask what motivates us, like our needs and desires, and then process theories, which look at how that motivation process actually works in our brains.
Okay, our first tool comes from Frederick Hertzberg, and it's a game changer. He asked people a simple question. Think about a time you felt exceptionally good or bad about your job. And what he found was huge. The things that make you unhappy at work are completely separate from the things that make you truly happy and motivated. He called that first group hygiene factors. You know, stuff like your salary, job security, the rules. Getting these right doesn't motivate you. It just stops you from being dissatisfied. They're just the absence of pain.
And this slide really shows the two sides of that coin perfectly. Look at the left, hygiene factors. They're all about the context of your job. If your pay is terrible, you're unhappy. But here's the kicker. If your pay is great, you just become neutral. The real fire, the real drive comes from the motivators on the right. And notice, these are all about the work itself. That feeling of achievement, being recognized for what you do, getting to grow, taking on a real challenge. That's what creates genuine satisfaction.
Okay, now let's switch gears to a process theory. This is Edwin Locke's goal-setting theory. And honestly, it's one of the most practical tools you'll ever find. The idea is simple but powerful. Our intentions drive our behavior. So, setting specific, challenging goals, and this is key, getting feedback along the way, leads to way higher performance than just saying something vague like, hey, just do your best. So, what turns a regular goal into a superpowered motivator? Well, there are 4 key ingredients. First, it's gotta be specific. Not sell more, but increase sales by 15%. Second, it has to be a challenge. It should stretch you, make you work for it, but still be achievable. Third, you need feedback. You have to know how you're doing along the way. And finally, commitment. You have to actually buy into the goal to understand the why behind it. Without these 4 things, a goal isn't really a goal, it's just a suggestion. And now for a theory that taps right into our fundamental human need for fairness, Adam's equity theory. It basically says that we are all walking, talking social accountants. We're constantly doing this math in our heads, weighing our inputs, our effort, our skills, our time, against our outputs, like our pay or the recognition we get. And here's the crucial part. We then look at our colleagues and compare our ratio to theirs. If we feel like it's unfair, that things are out of balance, it creates this tension that just crushes motivation. So we've talked about the what and the how of motivation, but there's another piece of this puzzle, a really critical one, the manager. A leader's own personal beliefs about their team can be the most powerful, motivating, or, demotivating force of all. Douglas McGregor laid this out as 2 totally opposite ways of thinking. A Theory X manager basically assumes people are lazy, they hate work, and you have to control them with carrots and sticks to get anything done. But a Theory Y manager believes the total opposite, that people are naturally driven, they want to do good work, and they actually thrive when you give them responsibility and trust. This isn't just about management style, it's a deep-seated belief about people. And here is the bottom line, the most important part of this whole idea. Your assumptions become a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's that simple. If you treat your people like they're lazy and can't be trusted and you micromanage them, well, they'll probably live down to your expectations.
But if you treat them like they're smart, capable, and want to make a difference, they will almost always rise to that challenge. Your perception literally shapes their reality.
This brings us right to the modern cornerstone of motivation science, something called self-determination theory, or SDT. And what it argues is that the best kind of motivation, the kind that lasts, the kind that fuels creativity, comes from within. It's intrinsic. It doesn't need constant poking and prodding. And it ignites when we satisfy three universal psychological needs that we all share.
So what are these three magic ingredients? First up is autonomy. That's our basic human need to feel like we're in the driver's seat of our own lives and work. Second is competence. This is the need to feel like we're good at what we do, that we're growing and mastering our skills. And third is relatedness. That's the desire to connect with other people, to feel like we belong and are part of a team. If you can build a workplace that feeds these three needs, you basically unlock people's natural built-in drive to succeed.
Okay, we have assembled our toolkit of theories. It's time to go back to Sarah and Ahmad and finally solve this puzzle, not with gut feelings, but with a real structured diagnosis. Let's put Ahmed's case through our diagnostic checklist. First, using Hertzberg's lens. His hygiene factors are fine, he's getting paid, but there are probably zero motivators. The work is likely boring with no sense of achievement. Okay, next, Adam's equity theory. He probably feels a massive sense of unfairness. He sees Sarah getting promotions and praise, big outputs for what he sees as the same job, the same input. That's going to breed resentment. Now, let's think about his manager through McGregor's theory. What if the manager is a theory X type? Ahmed is probably being micromanaged with no autonomy or trust. And finally, let's look at it through self-determination theory, which really ties it all together. His three core psychological needs are being completely ignored. He has no autonomy or control, he's not developing competence because his work isn't challenging, and he might not feel any relatedness or connection to the team's mission.
So, our diagnosis from all these different angles points to one crystal clear conclusion. The answer for Ahmed isn't a bigger bonus. That's just a hygiene factor. It's an external fix that might give him a little boost for a week, maybe two. You can't solve a deep intrinsic motivation problem with an extrinsic reward. The solution isn't about changing his paycheck. It's about changing his entire work environment.
And that, right there, leads us to the single biggest takeaway from all of this. As a leader, your job is not to motivate people. Honestly, that drive is already inside them. Your real job is to stop demotivating them. Your job is to be an architect, to design an environment that is filled with clear goals, that feels fair, that's built on trust, and that gives people a chance to satisfy those core needs for autonomy, competence, and relatedness. You create the conditions, and they will motivate themselves. So the question I want to leave you with is this. What's one condition you could change tomorrow to unlock that potential on your team?